I am out taking a walk with Prince Kair. Say hello. Yeah, you're not really in it right now. So we are here at one of our favorite spots. Our community lake. You love it here, Papa Dux? You love it here, Papa? So I wanted to come on and talk about first responses, right? You know, sometimes things can happen and we have those responses that really come and try us. Yeah, that wasn't my lace a while ago, so ain't got time, child. So yeah, you know, some things can happen. Sometimes, you know, we as people, we tend to be very disrespectful and lacking self-awareness when it comes to handling and dealing with others. And here is the funny thing about this, that people will only stick this to a place of leadership, but they will never examine their own self. Meaning that even if you're not in a place of leadership, that doesn't mean you handle people any old way. You got to look at yourself, right? And so something happened to me recently, and my first response was to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm just done, and I don't want to have anything to do with said persons. Because when you are in a place where you're naturally vulnerable, where you're naturally open and honest, because you know you kind of practice to live a lifestyle like that, and you let people in and, you know, to your private space, you know, that you hold valuable, only for them to come and disrespect the person that you are, it can be very disheartening. And so in my mind, I said, you know what, I'm done. You know, like you get to a place where you're sick and tired of the way that people think that they can handle you, treat you, disrespect you, dishonor you, whatever you want to call it, you know, devalue you. And I had time to sit with God about it, and all I could hear was try again. And ain't it just like God? All I could hear was try again, you know? And I understood it, because we can't be so quick we have to give grace to everyone, because not everyone knows how to handle situations. Most people are not even aware of who they are. Hence, the way that they handle situations speaks. And so, you know, when you're not self-aware, when you don't know how to regulate and handle your emotions, you're going to act out. It's happened to me plenty times before, and I've had to get corrected about it, go to counseling about it, really examine myself about it. And so that's why I talk so freely about making sure that your emotional and mental health is well. Because if there's ever been a time where we need to sit with God about some stuff, it's now. You know, there are so many things at our fingertips. There's so many things that are enticing to the eye. There are so many things that, you know, we would start to desire, because we are such an open generation. You know, we're so overly exposed to things, right? And this sort of develops a sense of entitlement and causes us to look at people and you know, say to ourselves, why them, not me? Like, you can't be that type of person in life. You can never be the type of person, and why this happened to them and why not me? Because God may not have said it will never happen to you. And so the important part of this is to wait, right? So I'm going back to first response, because I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. So I'm going back to first response. So whenever something happens in our life, it's important to examine that first response. It's the most genuine. It's the realest. It may not be right, may not be holy, may not be, biblically sound, but that's what you need to examine. This is how you take a measure of how far you have come from, if you're growing, if you are allowing him to start the good work in you, right? And so I looked at my first response, which was like, I'm done, And when the Lord started to say to me, no, try again. The reason why you feel this way is because it keeps happening. And I'm like, well, God, how long am I supposed to keep letting it happen, right? And he says, I will let you know when, but I need you to bear this fruit of long suffering. We think that long suffering just has to do with us and ourselves, but sometimes it has to do with taking time with people, right? Sitting with them, meeting with them, doing all that you can do until God says that's enough, right? It can never be your that's enough. It has to be God's that's enough. Because when it is so, there's no charge laid against you, right? And so I wanted to talk to us about that. First response is, what is your first response when something happens to you? What is your first response when someone disrespects you, talks down to you, devalues the person that you are? What is your first response? Because that is going to show you your level of maturity in God and your level of love, right? And we all want that. We all want to grow from drinking milk to eating solid biblical food and bearing fruits, right? We all want to grow, and we all want to come up in that love meter. Amen. Not only for ourselves, right? Because we must love ourselves, because that is the measure in which we are going to love other people. And so, look at that first response. It's going to be the realest. And that's how you would know if you're really bearing fruit. Amen. God bless y'all.